Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
The Daily Compliance News for September 20, 2021, the move to the cloud edition. We begin with that story from the Wall Street Journal as Wells Fargo has embraced a multi-cloud approach with cloud sharing deals with Microsoft and Google. This will be a decade-long initiative to update the digital infrastructure of the bank by moving workloads to cloud services. This is the latest large bank to make a significant bet on the public cloud. In 10 years, the goal is for all of Wells Fargo's workload to be on the public cloud. As the Wells Fargo head of technology said, it's a big, hairy goal. And the reason I bring this story up on the Daily Compliance News is this puts new risks on compliance, obviously IT security and data protection. But what does this mean for anti-corruption compliance, AML compliance, and other forms of compliance? As many companies are moving to the cloud, I would ask you to consider this going forward. Next up from the Washington Post, fast food customers are back, but workers are not, and it's triggering a big change. Just as during the coronavirus health crisis, we saw an increase in the use of technology to deliver services and new innovations. Drive-throughs obviously are important, but also home delivery and delivery on site. I think this is going to be an interesting time for much more rapid change in the fast food and other industries because the pace simply cannot be filled as there are not enough workers. So I think we're going to see much more automation, we'll have much more innovation. And once again, I would ask for the compliance professional to think about what all of this might mean from the compliance perspective. If you have less workers, obviously that means less worker risk, but what does it mean around automation risk? We continue our look at the allegations that the World Bank improperly tried to influence the latest report around investment opportunities by trying to increase China's score. And Reuters reports that this has rattled many investors because this report is a critical report, and more importantly, it's one that was thought to be reliable, but it's really I think changed the perception of the World Bank, and it's certainly bad for the World Bank who had to pull the entire report. And finally, from the Intercept, first time they are on the Daily Compliance News, they have allegations that under the Trump administration, EPA whistleblowers have provided evidence of agency officials engaged in corruption by avoiding calculating the health risks caused by new chemicals. This is at odds with the requirement under the EPA that these be evaluated, but these whistleblowers have brought forward information that senior officials in the EPA during the Trump administration routinely did not do so. So, more allegations of corruption in the Trump administration. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.